right, what we're about to do is go through the serpentine. What we're going to do is we're going to pull forward, stop, align ourselves, and then proceed through backwards. Remembering as we're going through, this is not a speedy exercise. Using both mirrors, staying close to the cones. Remember to always shuffle steer. That gives you a lot more control of the vehicle. Once you pull through the serpentine, always like to pull up just a little farther to allow the vehicle to be straightened, so you can use your mirrors to put the to get your line of sight for the cones back and forward. Always remember, when backing, you're going to use your horn to alert those behind you of a backing maneuver. And backing again, you want to remember to stay close to the cone, remembering your turning point and your pivot point. Starting off with the first cone on my left, I'm going to stay close. Once I've made that turn, I'm immediately going to go back to my passenger side mirror. Again, keeping the vehicle close, remember my turning point and my pivot point. And once I've cleared that obstacle, I go back to my opposite mirror. The more that you do this, the easier it becomes. But again, it is with experience that you're able to do this more efficiently. What we'll do next is we'll actually take you through at a higher rate of speed to show how the maneuverability changes in the vehicle. Again, you're having to work a little faster to use your mirrors to understand where your obstacles are, your traffic cones, and backing. And again, this is all done by shuffle steering. The next obstacle course that we'll go through is called the diminishing alley. As you can see, the cones start off wider and then they get a little narrower. There are different versions of this depending on how much space you want to try, but because this is a learning class, we want to just give you guys the idea of how it looks wider at the beginning and it's a piece of cake, but how much room you actually have on either side. So the object here is to pull forward, staying close to your driver's side, but obviously in the center, pulling all the way through, coming to a complete stop through the course. You're able to notice the cones that are all lined up. I'm lined up on one side or the other, and what we'll do is we'll stop for a minute as we're backing so you can actually see how much space you have on either side. Again, remembering both hands on the wheel, shuffle steering at all times, and using your mirrors. All right, the next obstacle that we're going to go through here is called the offset alley, and what we'll do, depending on how the course is set up, it could be a forward and a backward exercise, so that's what we'll do. We'll go forward and backwards. This really isn't any different than the serpentine alley, or the serpentine, except for you have more cones, so you're kind of boxed in. So if you looked at the serpentine in the middle and just followed that, that's really what you're focusing on. We've just put up barriers on either side as you were going through an alleyway or having to maneuver around parked vehicles. Again, what we want to do is line up on the side that we're going to be turning towards. Again, remembering where your pivot points are and your turning points, remembering to shuffle steer. And again, this doesn't have to be a quick exercise. This is done very smoothly. Remembering once we stop, we're lining up on the side that we're going to back up to, which is going to be my passenger side or the right side. Honking the horn to alert of backing. As you'll see, as I'm slowing down here, turning point, starting to turn, pivot point, full turn, and then I'm coming over to my driver's mirror to pick up my first cone here in the corner, lining up on that, straightening up because that's the way that I'm taking my next maneuver. Backing slowly, remembering my turning point and pivot point. Going to my passenger side mirror to pick up the first cone in the next obstacle. Staying close to that, lining up, straightening up to maneuver through the finish.
With you in the headquarters, we're out at Southside.
The next obstacle that we're going to go through is called the J-curve or blindside alley. And what we're going to do is when we're backing into this, as you'll see, the J actually goes around to my passenger side. So I'm lining up on the passenger side to back up, and as I'm doing so, before maneuvering or rolling the vehicle, alerting the horn for backup, and we start backing. Now again, we want to stay as close as we can to this side because that's the way that the turn is moving. So remembering our turning point and our pivot point, and staying as close as we can to that passenger side. Now once we get into the turn here, and I'll stop for a second, we want to refer. Did you pause it? Okay, so as we're backing into the J-curve or the blindside alley, we want to remember to stay as close as possible. I'm looking at my what? All right, so as we're backing, remembering that we're going to stay close as possible, remembering the turning point and the pivot point of the vehicle. Once we're into the turn, and a little more than halfway through, what we're looking for is we're going to come back over to our driver's side mirror to take a look and see how we're lined up, because now we have to straighten the vehicle and be within 12 inches of the rear cone. And then as we're pulling out, a key thing to remember is as we're pulling out, because we backed into this J-curve, we need to swing out a little wider so we don't catch the inside corner that we backed up close to as we were pulling into the J-curve.